And for my next example, I'm going to take you back 40 years ago when there was a different country that was rising in Asia that was also portrayed as the greatest threat to the future of America. Now, in the 1980s, Japan's economy was on fire. It was growing rapidly, and again, the American people were taught that Japan and the Japanese people, the Japanese government, was the biggest threat to America. This was a book that was published at that time, The Coming War with Japan, written by George Friedman. Take a look at this book, also published in the 1980s, Agents of Influence, How Japan's Lobbyists in the United States Manipulate America's Political and Economic System. Now, these books were written for one clear purpose, to install fear in the hearts and the minds of Americans. And it seemed to work. This is a picture outside Washington, D.C. when U.S. politicians decided to destroy Japanese-made electronics. Even Japanese-made cars were considered the enemy. But here's the interesting thing. In the 1990s, Japan's economy started to regress, and all of a sudden, Japan wasn't the biggest threat to America anymore. Now, about a year ago, when COVID-19 first hit the country of China, the Wall Street Journal came out with a very disgusting and racist headline entitled, "China is the real sick man of Asia." And this article, and again, this headline, is how racism started to breed and started to grow in the United States of America. Take a look at this side-by-side comparison of the New York Times articles on March 8th, 2020. Let's begin with the article on the right of your screen. To fight the coronavirus, China placed nearly 60 million people under lockdown and instituted strict quarantine and travel restrictions. Its campaign has come at great cost to people's livelihoods and personal liberties. Now, this is the important thing. Let's take a look at this message again. This was sent out on March 8th, 2020 at 10:30 a.m. Take a look at what they published literally 20 minutes later. Breaking news, Italy is locking down Milan, Venice, and much of its north, risking its economy in an effort to contain Europe's worst coronavirus outbreak. Now, for most readers, they're going to be able to read both of these, and subconsciously, you're going to start thinking negative things about China, just because the way that it is written. You really have to analyze the tone and the nature of these articles to see what the true intention of the New York Times is here. It is to make sure that China is presented in a negative light. If you don't believe me, let me give you two more examples. Now, this is an article published on February 13th, 2021, entitled, "On a WHO Trip," that's the World Health Organization, "China Refused to Hand Over Important Data." Now again, you read the headline here and all of a sudden you're going to jump to conclusions. You're going to think that China is again doing something dodgy, they're probably not playing by the rules, and again, the reason why we're in this problem is because China is not doing the right thing. But look what happened when one of the doctors who actually went on this trip decided to speak out against the New York Times. This is Dr. Peter Daszak, and again, he literally went on this WHO mission, and he said, "This was not my experience on the WHO mission. As lead of Animal and Environment Working Group, I found trust and openness with my China counterparts. We did get access to critical new data throughout. We did increase our understanding of likely spillover pathways." Let me give you another example. Now, this article was published on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 2021, and the title is this: "China has approved its 5th COVID-19 vaccine, and it's made from the ovary cells of hamsters." Now, I'm not a medical professional, and when I saw this headline, I was extremely confused. Why would they be using hamster ovary cells? But again, I did my research, and this is what I found. This is Dr. Sandra Steinglaber. She is a biologist, and she replies, "This is such an irresponsible, soft, racist headline. Hamster ovary cell lines are how labs all over the world make proteins. I repeat, they are universally used. They were developed in a Boston lab in 1957. Please stop implying that the Chinese do weird things with animals." Ah, now I get it. Now I understand the New York Times angle. And this is the real purpose of why I made this video, is I want people to understand that there is a bias. And again, this has been a large contribution to why Asian hate crime is rising so rapidly in the United States today. And something needs to change. I'm going to give you a great example of what we can do. My next door neighbors here in Vancouver is a beautiful Caucasian family with 2 young boys. During Chinese New Year, the family came over and they decided to gift us some red pockets with chocolate inside. The father came up to me and he said, "Cyrus, we know that your wife is Chinese. We know that you lived in China for many years, and I want to teach my children a little bit about the Chinese New Year holiday. We don't know much about China, but we know that this is an important holiday for you, and we're going to celebrate. we're going to celebrate by ordering some Chinese takeout. We don't know much about China, but we want to respect your culture. And that really meant a lot to my wife and myself, that people would go out of their way to understand a little bit more about people's culture. One of our closest friends here is actually an Indian family. And you know what? My wife, when it was the Diwali festival, she went up to her and said, "I want to wish you a happy Diwali." Now the interesting thing was the mother turned around and was so surprised. She said, "Do you know that you are the only non-Indian person that actually wished me a happy Diwali? I'm so amazed that you would understand my holiday, and I'm so happy that you said that. That really is amazing." You know, when you don't understand something, you inevitably will fear it. And that's what I've said from the beginning. Many people fear China, but the basis for that fear is a lack of understanding. There are so many amazing Asian Americans in our community today, and they have all come from all over the world, and many of them third, fourth, fifth generation Americans themselves. Our Asian community is a huge part of why America is a strong and amazing country today. And this is something that we need to do on the grassroots level. We need to change, and we need more people to understand culture. Because in America, we still have a difficult time accepting people that look different from us, accepting people of different religions, different backgrounds, different skin colors. And that is something that needs to change. Everyone, thank you so much for your time.